Oh, before I get too much further, before we get into this final game, oh my word, the support coming out from everyone, viewers and subs, you guys have been insane. I gotta catch up a little bit really quickly. Lexar FB818, thank you so much for that follow. Played the mid laner in game number 1 for the side of some random club. Appreciate that follow. Smart is coming on in with 9 viewers. Welcome everyone. I know that I'm super late, but I still want to welcome you if you're still hanging around. Experiment626, or as I get to love and know him, coming in with that tier 1 sub. Greatly appreciate that, Ricky. Hope you are doing fantastically. Love you. Miss you a ton being involved in XLNC and what we do. But don't worry, I'm just glad to have you tuning back in. Hope you're doing fantastically. Hope, not Bar anymore, but TC are doing amazing as well. Void Alive, thank you so much for that tier 1 subscription. Nova tier 2 sub as well. You guys are just going nuts with all that support. I love it and greatly appreciate it. It's just so that we can bring these amazing events to you. Golden Toad and Toad Step, the golden duo, coming in and giving us some love as well with those follows. Well, it's 2 different Toads, so it might not be Golden God, but I love Golden Toad, appreciate it, and Toad Step as well. You guys are awesome with the Toad duo. And, oh, you're Knighted. There you go. Knighted the Jungler coming in from Toon Squad. Appreciate the support. We'll be back with game number 3 here in just a moment as I swap the graphics over.
Rick Manson's World Motion Tour is over, and what a success it was. Manson over $14 million to fight heart disease.
The ads can now be seen inside public bathrooms.
The lucky winners of this past weekend's Super Luck Draw. The pair came forward and claimed their electric. A 9-year-old Metro.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the finals for the XLNC April Light Invitational Tournament. These teams have fought all month long to get here, and it all comes down to this game. Divine Ascension taking on Toon Squad for the finals. It's gonna be a spicy one. It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a great one. I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna cast over the pro draft. I'm Jake Kelton, joined by Freeko as always for these games. I am excited. Let's get into pro draft. Freeko, what are you looking at as Toon Squad has gone game 1 where things were even, then won it, and then 2 where they were behind 5,000 gold and then won it? What can Toon Squad do wrong?
Hopefully they got it all out of their system in the first and second game. I mean, 30 minutes in, they were in a dead heat in game 1, and you look at the second game and you're like, oh no, can Toon Squad actually be taken down? And Glacial Rising Phoenix were doing just about everything right until they didn't. They made one kind of overplay. Toon Squad caught them out, and the rest is history. It looks like we're starting to see the bans coming in, and Divine Ascension going right after Elysier with that Diana, and C9 World Champ with the Ornn.
They also take away the Trundle too. That is really, really interesting, especially considering the Trundle wasn't on Toon Squad's side either of the first 2 games. They had Knighted Uno on that Jarvan. Maybe they've got something set up for that Jarvan. But of course, you take away the Ornn, but you don't take Set. And C9 World Champ, happy to play him, decimated him on game number 1. And it's the Renekton in response that World Champ was fine against with the Ornn in game number 2.
Yeah, Renekton is a pick where you kind of get debated by the early game. The Blade of the Ruin King coming through with the changes really makes Renekton much more of a punishing pick early on. But as we saw in that last game, it felt like Renekton kind of fell off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't even win the fights that he was easily winning outside of his one-item power spike against the Ornn in the side lane. You saw him running away, kind of scared of the Ornn at that point, 5-10 minutes afterward. So this will be, I think, a similar situation where Divine Ascension might have given themselves a bad lane matchup. In the top lane, we see Xayah and Rakan coming through for Toon Squad, which we saw in game 1. Definitely not as impactful as the Ezreal was in game 2 once he got that Trinity fusion going. But we'll see. Divine Ascension, a little bit of an unknown, as we've not seen them so far, at least this week, to see how well they're doing. Toon Squad might well be, well, they can't run out Jarvan this time. Divine Ascension banning it, but we might see almost a full run back from the game 1 victory on the side of Toon Squad. So I would not be surprised to see Terex up, Thresh is up. We got some options for potential picks on the side of Toon Squad, but it looks like they're going to end up maybe taking LeBlanc here, give Elysier a comfort pick, and Zac in the jungle. Interesting.
Yeah. So they start with Zac because, again, they want engage. They have them... I can speak. Let's take a breath here and try this again. They want to engage because that's how they've been playing all night long. Having an incredibly strong front line that loves to dive into fights, and then their back line is safe because no one is visiting them while everyone from Toon Squad's front line is in your face, smashing you down. Now, I think Divine Ascension have countered this very, very well. They comp themselves the Lulu that basically says, hey, you can dive us, but we're still going to be able to whimsy at least one of your members. We've got our Kog'Maw who can shoot from a mile away and still harass your back line, even if he's taking some damage. And then you have Galio to basically protect everyone. He can also join a fight from all over the map. And so I want to see if Galio is mid lane. It looks like that's where he may be going. And so we'll take a gander at that once we're into the official picks and bans. But so far, it's looking to be an incredibly spicy game. The one thing I wanted to mention about the Renekton and set was that Renekton, generally speaking, should be a little bit better into the set, mostly due to an Aura is going solid tank. But if game 1 was anything to be said for C9 World Champ, he went more team fight bruiser style, and Renekton is better fighting into those bruisers as well than he is fighting a straight tank of Ornn.
Well, Set on C9 World Champ in the first game, we saw him build a first item Blade of the Ruin King, and that's exactly what Renekton's going to want to do on the side of Divine Ascension, being piloted by Base God Kurama. So, we're going to see similar build paths, I believe, at least, from our top laners. I would not be shocked to see a Death Stance show up as well on either side. But looking at the rest of the map, you've got Zac, especially on the blue side, very dangerous, diving into the bottom lane as he's got an excellent slingshot path from the Pixel Brush. So if Divine Ascension's not careful and not able to get their forward wards in, that bot lane could be in some big trouble, and they won't even see it coming or know it's coming, for that matter, because the Zac has such an effective range with the elastic slingshot that if they're anywhere near the river, it's almost as if they're too far forward in the lane.
Now, the one hope in response, though, is that when you give yourself on Divine Ascension side something like the Galio, who can very quickly respond to Zac, you see him leaping into the bottom lane fight, and then you get the call from your bottom laner, hey, we need mid's help. Galio can just walk a little bit down river, drop that ultimate off, and come visit the bottom lane and potentially help them out. Or more what I'm hoping to see is Sejuani, JDK, being that vision for Divine Ascension, tracking where the Zac is so that the Galio can already be en route to wherever it is that Zac might be looking to make a play. But you're absolutely right. Knighted Uno can go top lane, he can go bottom lane. I doubt he'll visit mid lane too much because it is a Galio who's incredibly hard to deal with, even in the early game. He says, hey, look, I got a taunt. I'll taunt you up underneath my own turret. You're probably going to die. Mostly expecting him to visit either top lane and get set ahead or bottom lane and try to start to snowball this Lovers Duo.
Well, that also works going into the Akali as well, for the Galio. When Akali tries to dive onto Galio, if he times his taunt correctly, Akali's going to get stuck underneath the turret and not only have to deal with Galio, but those turret shots as well. Akali is not exactly known for being a tank, but I do like Elisier being on the Akali, so we might see another assassin diving-based champion for Elisier to bring to the table. So, 3 different champions for Elisier. We saw a massive impact with the Blanc. It was a little bit later in the game, but again, another massive impact on the Diana by Elisier. So we'll see what Akali can do being piloted by Elisier in this game.
Yeah, the big fear there is that, Divine Ascension, they banned away the Diana as the very first ban, so they obviously were respecting that. But then they don't ban the LeBlanc, and Elisier chooses to take the Akali. So that says to Toon Squad either he's just having fun and picking up yet a different mid laner, or he specifically had this champion in mind to go into Divine Ascension. And we'll find out which one it is as we are loading onto Summoner's Rift. But for me, the big key here is, it looks like I've got your camera messed up, so give me just 1 second to fix that. Boom! Welcome, Freeko. How are you doing? There we go. I fixed it. It's on my end. So, with it playing the Akali, while she is incredibly mobile and she definitely is an assassin, the 2 targets in her sight are either Lulu or Kog'Maw. And Lulu has the potential to whimsy you. Also has the wild growth that can make your life a little bit more difficult to actually find the execution. And Kog'Maw, as long as he survives the initial burst from Akali, again, Lulu Whimsy, Lulu Shields, Lulu Wild Growth, he has enough damage that he could actually kill Akali, because Akali doesn't have that much health. She's just an assassin. That's all she is good for. So it'll be timing for Elisier finding those flanks, finding those angles, and picking the right moment, especially after Lulu's big spells have already been spent, then going in and cleaning up those squishy backline.
Yo, you said it exactly. Once Lulu's big spells are spent, specifically the Whimsy, if Zac Elastic slingshots in, now Akali decides, oh, well, I'm going to dive in too, and you kind of get the Morgana problem of, okay, I can Black Shield something, but not everything. So what is it that you want to Black Shield? If you Black Shield the Elastic Slingshot, essentially whimsying Zac, then you have to worry about Akali just following suit and diving in where you don't have any real way to defend against that. If you let the Zac go, then he'll just try to grab Lulu and Kog'Maw and smash them together.
Exactly.
But with that said, I think with our last minute, let's introduce the teams, if you'd be so kind.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll reintroduce Toon Squad. We've already seen them play, but they're on a couple of different champions. I'm especially liking their bottom lane. From the side of the Toon Squad, we have ourselves C9 World Champ back on set in the top lane. Knighted Uno, on the Zac in the jungle. Elysier, another new mid laner for the Knight with the Akali. Golden God and Golden Toad playing the Lovers duo. Could you ask for a better setup? The Xayah and Rakan in the bottom lane.
And on the side of Divine Ascension, going to be on our red side, we've got Base God Karama on the Renekton in the top lane. We've got JDK on the Sejuani jungling, Void Alive playing Galio in the mid lane, and Aren't You Fishy and Coral Witch in the bot lane on Kog'Maw and Lulu respectively.
I love it. The one thing I'm seeing from Divine Ascension as well is their pick potential is actually stronger than it initially looks like it, because Sejuani not only has her ultimate that obviously Frozen Tomb can basically just lock someone straight up, but also you can pair that with the auto attacks that she can bring in to find an extra snare with that Frozen Flail. You also have Galio that can add those stacks plus Renekton, so both those beefy members can bring extra stacks and bonuses to find that stun faster. You have the Galio taunt, who also has a knockup. You have the stun on Renekton, so they actually have a pretty decent ability to pick people off if someone from Toon Squad oversteps or mispositions. But the Lovers duo really want to lock in the synergy, not only have the names of the Golden duo, they not only have the Lovers duo, but they got matching skins as well. Is that enough for Toon Squad to find victory in game number 3 and find the first time the XLNC has had a monthly invitational tournament? Could Toon Squad be the champions? We'll find out in this Game 3 Best of 1 finals.
Yeah, we'll see if Divine Ascension has anything to say about it. I do like the fact that Renekton and... oh no, we've got ourselves a pause coming through. Looks like one of the members did not load in, so hopefully this should be resolved very shortly. But going back to the Sejuani, like you said, that permafrost, aside from the Frozen Tomb, you could lock up the Glacial Prison, I believe it's Lysandra that uses Frozen Tomb. Glacial Prison, Sejuani's ultimate, you lock someone up and have Renekton dive onto someone else, activate the permafrost, and now you've hard CC'd 2 members of the enemy team. And if you happen to get it onto, say, a C9 World Champ or Elysier, that's going to be a big part of their damage taken out of any kind of team fight that we'll see in the middle to late stages of the game.
Right, the key is who does all that crowd control land on. Just like with Leona, the Solar Flare is impactful if you're playing aggressively and if you're throwing it on the right targets, whereas that Thresh, Golden Toad's death sentences were unbelievable time and time again to turn the game around for Toon Squad. It's going to come down to JDK. Can he actually find those ultimates? Not just getting the slow, but the actual stun onto someone, and not just anyone, but someone crucial like that Xayah, like the Akali, or maybe even the Set, so the team can just burn him down. We are loading onto Summoner's Rift for game number 3 right now. If you're in the Twitch You support one of these teams, or you just want to see the team win, drop us a hashtag TS win or a hashtag DA win. Let us know which team you are shouting out and thinking is going to win this game number 3 finals and be our champions for the April Invitational tournament.
Well, it looks like a fairly standard 5-point from both teams. A little bit of handshaking going on, a little dancing possibly. Renekton and Set just kind of hanging out in the top river, little dance parties, flashing some emotes. But like you said, Toon Squad looks to have something of like a triple threat combination. You have the Set, Akali, and Xayah, who are all able to really push forth damage in the lane, whereas I think it's much more going to be the hyper carry status for Aren't You Fishy, because maybe Galio can do a little bit more work. I believe he's been buffed up in the recent patches, as he's been much stronger than I think he is, just playing around. But we'll see what ends up happening. Renekton may not be that late game monster that he used to be, but still an early game threat all the same.
Yeah, he'll be up against C9 World Champ, who's already proven himself on this set, and we'll have a gander every now and then as those two beat each other up. Maybe Set can give himself a new pair of boots or something. In the bottom lane, aggression already from Toon Squad side. This is what they like to do. Take dominance even in the early game of level 1. They shoved that Kog'Maw backwards, didn't get knocked up by the Rakan, but still losing a little bit of health. We'll just go back to farming away.
Well, Aren't You Fishy definitely has to watch his distance. Base God Kurama getting the better of the trades early on in the top lane. Looks like all the potions being burned away by both sides. Actually, Base God Kurama has 1 potion left.
So he's still got a little bit of health and some healing going to come through. Nice haymaker from World Champ to win out in that trade. Taunt in that mid lane. Void Alive finding a knock-up. There's the Winds of War as well. Akali actually goes in with a Shuriken Flip, trying to tag a little bit more damage. And now JDK in the top lane throws out the flail, but it misses underneath the turret. Renekton gets hit up once, doesn't die. The Ignite is not down, ticking away. The flash forward. World Champ almost taking out Renekton, forcing his flash as well. So flash for flash burn, but First Blood still on the table.
Oh, nice try by C9 World Champ, but Base God Kurama able to realize that he was in big trouble and able to flash out of there all the same. So good reaction by Base God Kurama to make sure that he was not the one taken down first. And it looks like Base God Kurama teleporting back in.
Face Breaker dragging him backwards. A small haymaker to deal a little bit extra damage, but exactly right. Hold on, fight can continue in the mid lane. Knockup coming through is Void Alive, slowing down Elysier. The Sejuani is here and just barely gets that flail. They should be able to find the stun. The Zac is here, but he's way too late. Unable to save the Akali. Elysier drops First Blood to Divine Ascension.
Yeah, I'll take that trade. Flash for flash. JDK flashing, Elysier flashing, and JDK claiming First Blood. Void Alive kind of acting as a little bit of a bait, but all the same, Elysier getting taken down for First Blood, teleporting back into the mid lane.
Yeah, a lot of that was JDK miraculous being able to land the flail while charging. Hold on, fighting the bottom lane. Rakan's going to try to get a knockup. Unfortunately, the 2 bottom members of Divine Ascension just escaping getting knocked up there, so they're able to back away, but the flash is burned on Aren't You Fishy, so a little bit easier of a target to try to knock up next time.
Yeah, but you see the Zac just able to go into that bot lane. Elastic Slingshot has much bigger range than I think a lot of people give it credit for. Lulu's in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, they're trying to burn down Golden God. They know that this Xayah doesn't have any mana, so she's only going to be able to throw a couple of auto attacks left. The Ignite ticked down, didn't kill Aren't You Fish. She still has Barrier up now after its cooldown has been reduced, or has come back up, so still should be safe. And Toon Squad, despite all this pressure in the bottom lane, only finding a few CS lead over the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, but you see Xayah and Rakan both recalling Kog'Maw's got to get out of that lane sooner rather than later, but I think he still does not have enough to get any kind of comfort item. He's only got about 1,000 gold in his pocket, so we'll see what ends up happening. Ooh, dive o'clock in the mid lane, it looks like.
Well, we'll see if they actually dive the turret. They're definitely looking for the fight onto Elise here. Top lane going back and forth again. Bruisers just beating each other up. No deaths at the top lane, which is just so amazing after so many summoner spells have been burned and their health bars have gotten incredibly low. They're about to tick over to that level 6 when the fights can get even that much more interesting. In the mid lane, level 6 on the Galio finds the taunt onto Elise here, but this Galio just not taking any damage. Top lane Renekton drops world champ low. Haymaker's just gonna miss. Great run there from Renekton to get out of range of it.
Yeah, surprisingly, Renekton getting the early advantage, but, ooh, this is a nice dragon take on the side of Toon Squad, and an Ocean Drake on top of that, so the regeneration going to be absolutely massive, and we see a Cloud Drake coming in next, so that means either all-you-can-eat defense or all-you-can-eat offense for our Mountain Soul.
That is beautiful. We'll see if those come in. Which one will it be? Give us the spicy Infernal Drake to make these fights even more interesting. But as you said, that regen now for Toon Squad means that they don't have to feel as much pressure when it comes to these trades because they can back away, get a little bit of regen, healing back up, and so can delay some of these lanes a lot longer. Sejuani from the Divine Ascension actually deeply invading, stealing away the wolves, and drop 2 wards as well. So really covering this top side jungle as Zach is kind of doing the same thing on the opposite side.
I'm not sure if Divine Ascension knows that Zach is in enemy territory, but I think it's fairly safe to assume as such. Sejuani actually heading into the top lane, so Set might be in a little bit of trouble. There's no ward. I'm not sure if it's been spotted out. Set stepping forward against the Renekton, so it would not shock me to see Renekton try to, get a little antsy, but it looks like both are going to recall in the top lane as we've got some action in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Rakan found the knock-up. Aren't You Fishy actually burns the barrier very, very early, so I think it was probably a little bit of an unnecessary spell burn, but keeps his health bar up a little bit anyway, so more spells being burned on that Kog'Maw. He's losing a lot of CS now, down about 15, and that is growing for this Xayah's. Top lane Set, showstoppers Renekton. The slice and dice doesn't get the Renekton completely out, so he's going to be taken very low. Still alive, though. Has that chance to recall, but Galio's coming in from the side.
Well, it looks like Galio and Sejuani are both able to potentially rotate, or now that it's 8 minutes in, as we...
Switch back to Kog'Maw. He is dead. Golden God finds the Blade Collar, tearing right through him, gets that Kog'Maw down. Unfortunately, Coral Witch, you've been doing a lot of work to keep him alive, but just don't have the levels yet to get that big shield and protect him.
Here I was trying to set you up for what was about to be a Herald fight, and then, I kind of blinked my eyes and, ooh, Fishy getting sent back to the Death Chamber, the only member of Divine Ascension that is not level 6 yet, so an unfortunate setback for the side of Divine Ascension as Xayah is now almost 1,000 gold ahead in the bottom lane. We're starting to see a significant CS lead being developed in the mid and bottom lanes at this point.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Toon Squad does good every single game is that unless their lane is just being completely trashed, they do a good job of being able to build small CS leads that scale over time. It's not, a complete domination, 50 CS to 20, but 10 CS, 20 CS, 30 CS builds up over time, and those start to turn to items once they eventually group. Rakan to go ahead and use the quickness. Kog'Maw has that level 6, but it's flash for flash as he's not going to tangle with Xayah. Immediately gets out back to the turret to wait for the Lulu to join him.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's just going to be more CS that Kog'Maw is going to lose out on. I think the Golden Duo actually pushing a little too hard in that lane. Should be concentrating a little more and just kind of freezing Kog'Maw out. It's still over a minute away from the dragon coming up, so not really any rush, I don't think, for Golden God and Golden Toad in the bot lane to, really push at this point.
Hold on. Zach gonna use the stretching strikes in the top lane. Unfortunately, doesn't have a minion to drag Renekton backwards. Sejuani around the corner in the bottom lane is seen, but is not gonna have that Kog'Maw and Lulu to support him, and so Sejuani immediately backs away. As you're saying, though, the pushing from Toon Squad's bottom lane, I think this is basically what they do every game, and that is to try to take as many plates off of the turret. They've already been able to grab 2 and could look to grab a 3rd or more, because that's where they kind of really scale that Xayah's gold. And part of the reason why she's 1,000 gold up is that they just keep pushing in and grabbing plates.
Yeah, that's very true. They weren't really successful to push out their bottom lanes before, but it looks like the Rift Herald being contested, it should go to the side of Toon Squad. But it looks like Galio and Sejuani getting into it with Set.
Galio finding a taunt onto 2. Winds of War will take down the Set. The Zac gonna leap on in, but Toon Squad left a couple other members alone. The Sejuani trying to be the front line. Zac gonna get frozen up. Renekton is here. Knighted duo flashing over the wall. Elise here on the run as well. Golden Toad has run up from the bottom lane, so should be able to protect these two as Renekton gonna get knocked up again. Not super tanky. Hasn't been able to build those stats just yet. Knighted Uno takes him down on this Zac and ends up being a huge lead for Toon Squad after they get the Rift Herald and 2 or a 1-for-1 trade. Well, I think it was 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that they were able to still claim the Herald after that, but it looked like C9 World Champ got taken down, Base God Karama got taken down. I don't think there were any other casualties that were spoken of. It was 1-to-1 beforehand, so a 1-for-1 trade, but Toon Squad taking the Rift Herald and gonna use it here on the bottom lane to hopefully cement their bottom lane as the avenue of victory here for Toon Squad. Get that Xayah ahead on Golden God and see if he can prove, just like last game, that he's able to just carry the game to victory.
Rakan quickness coming through, just a couple of taunts with the turrets, not dead yet. TP's coming in for the top laner. Set immediately running, and Renekton looking for this. Xayah should be able to grab it. Set gone to the back line, finishes off the turret, but now he's in the middle of 3. Sejuani goes down, and she is all alone. So is the Set, but he's surviving a lot longer. The Groot shield stacking up huge. The Haymaker dropping Aren't You Fishy down below half health, and here comes that Akali. Elise here looking for the assassination. Golden Toad flashing forward, finds the one-man knock up. Kog'Maw gonna go down as well. Base God Karama slicing and dicing his way to survive, and nice Golden Toad using the stopwatch, surviving through the passive from the Kog'Maw as well. Ends up Toon Squad favored entirely as they pick up 2, grab themselves the turret as well. Galio only slowly pushing out that mid lane. And honestly, I just don't see Void alive doing many of these big ultimates to join his team.
That was just a beautifully set up play by Toon Squad. There's no other way to put it. It could have been a little cleaner, but, you know, at the end of the day, the result, exactly what you wanted. 2 members of Divine Ascension falling, I believe JDK and Aren't You Fishy, you deny any kind of counterplay. I think Void Alive maybe got a turret plate out of all of that. So, you know, I'll take the turret, a couple kills, and give up a turret plate any day of the week.
Yeah, just so heavily Toon Squad favored. 2,000 gold up now. Baron's not going to be up for another 6 minutes, so there's time for the game to calm down. Time for everyone to take a breather, for Divine Ascension to try to start to pick up the slack where they've been falling off on farm. Those lanes, especially in the bottom lane, have now become a very long lane. So with the minions being pulled up to that second tier turret, Kog'Maw should be able to just slowly farm this bottom lane, build those stacks back up. The question is, Toon Squad, because they are a little bit in the driver's seat now, where do they decide to go next? They've been able to grab the Rift Herald, double Drakes, 2,000 gold up. They swap their bottom lane into the top lane. We'll see where they go from there after we get this pause coming through at the moment. I think somebody was experiencing a little bit of lag. Yeah, the mid laner for Toon Squad. So we'll give them a minute to try to reset whatever they need to get back in cleanly.
Now, to go back to your point, I think it's just a matter of trying to create an advantage elsewhere on the map. Like you said, Golden God is now completely and horribly ahead of Aren't You Fishy. So I'm looking at, all right, we're going to swap our lanes around, try to leverage toward another turret. You look at the objective timers. If you have them up, we're looking at a second Rift Herald in 3 minutes, a Dragon in 4 minutes, and Baron in just under 6 minutes. So you want to get your powerful playing toward the top side of the map. That's going to be the next objective, or hopefully objectives in the case of Toon Squad. Pressure the top turret, claim a second Rift Herald, then you can pressure mid, come down and just work your way down the map, and we're going to have an Infernal Soul if it gets to that point. So if you can, work your way through this kind of laundry list of, victory points, it's going to put Toon Squad in a very commanding lead. They're already 2,000 gold up. But like we saw in the last games, the gold lead didn't really explode until much later in the game. And this may give Divine Ascension, a very clear path to go, okay, I know exactly what the enemy team is going to want to do at this point. So now I have to try to stop it in some way.
Right. Good.
I was going to say the Renekton may want to try to switch into the mid lane to match C9 World Champ on the set. You can leave the Galio there, but my problem is, where do I put the Kog'Maw and Lulu, or do I leave the Kog'Maw alone in a side wave to try to safely farm? But I can't really do that because it's the Akali that's in the bottom lane and not the set. You can't collapse on that Akali as reliably as you could a set, if you get where I'm trying to go with this. And, it's just, Toon Squad is doing a very good job of trying to deny Divine Ascension any path back into the game.
Exactly right. It's just so difficult for you to shut down Toon Squad because really quickly, I know that the screen has changed back to the picks and bans for the tournament integrity because the timer was ticking close to that 3-minute mark. We went ahead and swapped it over to the picks and bans scene. So you're just looking at the champions. You're not being able to see the in-game stats. Unfortunately, we don't have a good, we're paused, but we don't want you to see the minimap or anything seen. So for tournament integrity, we went ahead and switched this out. But once we're back into game, we'll swap it back over to the in-game scene so you guys can see what's going on again, of course. But for the moment, Toon Squad 4 kills up to Divine Ascension's 2 and a 2,000 gold lead. And what I was going to say off of Freeko's commentary is that for the side of Toon Squad, it's so hard to shut this team down because even if you win the early game, even if you win the mid game, even if it feels like, hey, we got a 5,000 gold lead like we saw in game number 2, the key is that Toon Squad is so good at target selection and team fighting. Sometimes all it takes is a single fight to put Toon Squad in the driver's seat and they can win from there. So as you're saying, even though Divine Ascension may see the game plan for Toon Squad, may see what's coming down the road, and may look to try to stop that, they could still just get mechanically outmatched when it comes to the 5v5 fight that we're probably going to expect in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, there's going to come a point where you just go, okay, we can't leave things as they are. And it's going to be on Divine Ascension to go, okay, Akali, go for it. Take that middle or the bottom inner turret. I've got something more important that I have to defend, and that's the top side of my map. I would not be concerned with losing an inhibitor this early in the game because you're almost... if you're the side of Toon Squad, taking an inhibitor, if you just let Akali go the whole way, it would actually allow Kog'Maw to just farm in his own nexus off of the super minions and the waves being pushed in at that point. So you let that bottom inner fall, just to allow Kog'Maw a very safe lane to then farm up and hopefully become relevant in the game. I would almost look to make my move, if I were Divine Ascension, onto the set right here and right now and kind of ignore the Akali, who is, no teleport right now. Unfortunately, it looks like I'm really trying to reach for how Divine Ascension can, kind of out-rotate the map, make a play to get themselves what feels like, to a point where they're back in the game.
Yeah, and I think you highlighted a big crucial point. The victory condition for Divine Ascension is, does Kog'Maw hit 300 CS in 1v9? Right? Is that if you get a Kog'Maw late enough, if you get a Kog'Maw fed enough, he is 3-shotting carries and 5-shotting tanks and just tearing through an enemy team, not caring at all. But there are such a long way off of that. Aren't You Fishy doesn't even have his first item completed yet. He's 0-2, down 40 CS to Golden God. So if Divine Ascension wanted to be able to get to that point, then the main thing is that they're going to have to delay on other areas of the map. I actually think that bottom lane first tier turret going down might be one of the best things for Divine Ascension, because it gives Kog'Maw a long, safe lane to sit and slowly farm, where the Lulu might be able to even leave him alone to come and rejoin the rest of the team. It's looking like we are going to have ourselves joining back into the game, so let's go ahead and switch our scene over. The Akali has returned, but she is playing on a little bit of ping, but they're going to play it out regardless. So now that the teams have had some time to sit around and talk about the game, they're going to go ahead and start a fight up here. Renekton dropping low. He's going to get a huge heal, though. The shutdown onto the Xayah. They summed up Rakan. The golden duo is dropping. The Galio even finds the Zac. The taunt coming through. Knighted duo drops that ultimate. Bouncy House going to try to protect him for a moment. The Renekton chasing in. The Sejuani hasn't invested that ultimate yet. They could still try to throw that out and catch one of these two. They've got the Zac frozen up. The flail comes through as well. He's trying to stretching strikes, but base god Kurama will shut him down. And Divine Ascension 3-0 the fight. They grab the blue buff. They have been able to take over the top side, and it's exactly what they were looking for coming out of that pause.
Yeah, Kog'Maw just kind of hanging out in the bottom lane, starting to make up that CS deficit, starting to join the rest of the game. At the point we unpaused, one thing that it was kind of there, where Aren't You Fishy was only level 7, where the rest of the game was level 8 and above, and it looks like C9 World Champ, just able to get out of there, but at least you're probably going to dive onto Aren't You Fishy here.
Oh, he flashes, but it's way too late. Barrier not going to save him. Unfortunately, he flashed before the Akali used the second half of Shuriken Flip to follow him through that flash. Picks up that solo kill, and you got to play safe if you're in a bottom lane by yourself.
Yeah, that's the one unfortunate drawback to leaving Kog'Maw alone in lane, is that Elysier can just dive him.
Galio ultimate at the top lane. Kuro in trouble. Last Feather comes through. The Xayah starting to deal serious damage. Roots up the Galio as he's trying to escape. Coral Witch to the top lane, but way too late after all the allies have died. So Toon Squad striking back, getting 2 in revenge for the 3 the Divine Ascension picked up earlier. JDK coming up here to try to defend the turret, but I think the turret may already be gone. Golden God just needs to throw a couple more autos to finish off the Whimsy. Gonna slow her down. Now they're backing way outside of the turret. The Blade Caller not gonna find any route. JDK continuing to play the front line, but losing way too much health. Kog'Maw coming up as Aren't You Fishy tries to join the fight, but the turret is again sitting at just over 100 health, 135. It's about to go down.
Yeah, but the Rift Herald's about to show up. Ooh,
Ultimate
JDK
missing.
just missing with Glacial Prison.
And now Aren't You Fishy in trouble. There's a Rakan knock-up as well. Zac hops in. Lulu's going to get locked up. The flash to drag the Sejuani forward. He's able to get that kill on that as well, with the red buff burning it down. Top lane turret goes down, and Divine Ascension had a little bit of a heartbeat, and Toon Squad just suffocate them in the top lane.
Oh, Base God Kurama turned the wrong way. If turned downward, he would have spotted Elysier out. Oh, what a shame. But that first fight that happened about a minute and a half ago, where Divine Goddess or Divine Ascension won, Base God Kurama had his Dominus up and used it to fundamentally turn the fight around. The health boost kept him alive, kept him in the fight, and his teammates collapsed and 3 members fall. That second time around, no Dominus for Base God Kurama, so he got taken down and had no way to stop Desire from just eliminating him. JDK not able to handle a 1v2 situation, and as we see, you weaken the links in the chainmail armor, and you can just kind of pull it apart. You've got to keep, everything kind of intact, otherwise it all just falls apart.
Exactly.
To the side of Divine Ascension.
And they are starting to really buffet line kills over. Featherstorm going to be burned very, very early, so at least the Zai is not going to have that, but the turret already gone to the mid lane as the Rift Herald's going to pick that one up, Sed straight into the back line, finds a Facebreaker onto 2. Coral Witch trying to keep this Kog'Maw alive, but that Grit Shield keeping Sed alive as he will take down the Kog'Maw. Now Coral Witch flashing, but is going to be slapped up, knocked up. The Zac able to help the Set pick up one more. C9 World Champ starting to dominate this game as well, and Toon Squad win a 3-for-0 fight and grab probably 2 turrets and the Drake off of this. They are done. They are ready to be champions.
Oh, absolutely. They've been tested in round 1 and 2, and they have been found worthy, and they are showing us exactly why in round 3. They've gotten ahead. And as of so far, I sure don't want to cast or curse anyone or anything, but it looks really good for them. They're threatening Infernal Soul Point. They're already 6,000 gold up, but everything that happened going into the pause, I'm going, all right, they want the top lane, they want the Herald, they're going to move down to mid, they're going to take the Dragon, and they even picked off the mid-inner on the charge as well, so... on the roadmap to victory, they're checking extra boxes and collecting these bonuses along the way. So at this point, it's really just a matter of trying to find a team fight, or even just going, all right, well, they've got to fight us at Baron, and I don't think they can. So let's just take Baron and close this game out.
And they could take Baron at any time. Actually, wouldn't mind to see them doing a little bit of baiting where they've got some incredibly strong members like the Set or even the Zac that can basically sit into a brush and say, hey, are you going to come and fight us, while the rest of the team members are grabbing that Baron for themselves. Renekton sticking around. He's going to be behind enemy lines as the duo will move past him for Toon Squad up to that second tier turret up there. And now he's going to start to collapse. The Sejuani, Lulu, and Kog'Maw coming in as well. A little bit of a 4-1 coming out. JDK going to spot this Rakan rotating around. He hops over the wall. Renekton going to get caught, though. Rooted up by the Blade Caller from Golden God. Taken down before he can even get a single strike offset. Chasing Coral Witch straight out of the fight. Lulu having to run away and leaving the rest of the team alone underneath the turret.
Oh, Coral Witch, you are in the wrong part of town, my dear. Lulu gonna get out of there. The pings are coming down for Baron. So it looks like Toon Squad gonna go for the Baron after getting the pick off. And it looks like Lulu is just gonna execute. No, decided otherwise.
Decided because everyone's focusing on the Baron, that's pretty safe for her to go ahead and hit that recall and not have to sit through the death timers, which at this point, 21 minutes in, are a little bit longer. But the call to Baron really was started because Galio was sitting in the bottom lane. And when you have the top laner dead, the mid laner on bottom side, and the support, he's either suiciding or recalling, it basically says, yeah, your jungler could try to steal this, but we have enough crowd control, we'll kill the jungler and then take the Baron anyway.
Yeah, at this point, Toon Squad, it almost feels like they can just NA ram it up the mid lane and force out this inhibitor. I don't see a way Divine Ascension can really take this in a straight 5v5 fight. It feels like Toon Squad's just too strong at this point in the game. We're looking at an 8,000 gold lead at this point, so the gold lead is only expanding out as time ticks forward. So this is just not looking very good for Divine Ascension. Renekton going to try to push out the side waves, but I see no reason to not just run it up mid for Toon Squad here. Looks like Set's going to try to push in the second wave.
Yeah, the key to remember from Toon Squad is that they're such an objective-based team, right? Even when they can just potentially A-ram it, they still have someone in the side lane to grab these side-tier turrets, and they're going to get this mid-lane turret just with the Baron up cannon minion poking it down, so they're able to grab that one for themselves. Set uncontestedly pushing in that bottom lane as all 5 members of Divine Ascension here in the mid lane. They might be able to look for the perfect play. They've got all 5 ultimates available. Zach's going to start things off, though, jumping in. They're trying to drop the Renekton. Dominus already fused, but he's going down, and Toon Squad aren't going to wait for Divine Ascension to pull the trigger. They will make the plays themselves. They're walking through the enemy team. Showstopper from the Set, setting themselves up for 2 more. JDK underneath that turret. Akali goes down, suicided by that turret. Could escape it in time. Sejuani still staying alive, just barely. The turret shot going to drop Zach incredibly low, but he's still not going to be able to be taken down just yet. JDK might have been able to get the kill on Set. He survives the turret shot!
How did he survive
C9
that?
World Champ gets out alive. Nexus turrets are dropping. Toon Squad with one final push will take the victory in the April Light Invitational Tournament. They are your champions 2 out of 3 weeks, and they are your champions for the first time in the Invitational monthly tournaments. Looking so good. We're going to talk a little bit post-game about these stats, but we do have an interview with that team coming up here in a little bit as well. So if you're interested in listening to that, stick around for it. But man, what a mighty, mighty Game 3 by Toon Squad.
Well, Toon Squad, instead of trying to give us all heart attacks in the first and second game, just went, all right, well, wait a second. We won the first week. We won the second week. Yeah, let's go back to that and just win. You know, they came right out of the gate. I think about the only thing they did wrong was maybe concede over first blood, as I believe Elysier fell in the mid lane to JDK. But after that, you saw the bottom lane become just a complete lane kingdom. Base God Kurama not really effectively able to go into the set. You know, it just looked like every lane was in the advantage of Toon Squad, and they pressed that advantage throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, and they just looked so good. Well, okay, they looked really good Game 3, because even when some of those team fights kind of went the way of Divine Ascension, they bounced back very well. They were able to pick up more kills in response, but most importantly, they were super, super solid when it came to objective focused. However, Game 1 and Game 2 were not the same story as Game 3. Game 1 a lot more even, and Game 2 they actually were behind by 5,000 gold at one point, definitely looking like they could potentially fall. Let's go ahead and actually head over to the Toon Squad channel right now on XLNC's Discord and tune in, have a little bit of chat with them as well, and talk about these 3 games as they are your champions tonight. So, Freeko, I'll see you over there in just a second. All right, Toon Squad, oh my goodness, congratulations on your victory. You guys won week 1, you won week 2, you lost semifinals in week 3, and now have come in and at least Game 3 walked through your opponents, but it wasn't as easy as it might have initially felt. So talk us through just how you're feeling after winning the April Invitational Tournament.
Dude, I can't wait to play in the midweight, like, next week.
No, we feel pretty good. We put in a lot of hard work to get this far, and we showed it out today, I'd say. A lot of good competition out there.
Yeah, you guys looked really, really good, but there definitely, as you said, was some competition, mostly out of game number 2. Glacial Esports, they were the ones who shut you down week 3, and they nearly took you down in game number 2 today, down 5,000 gold. Talk to us about your mental state at that point and how you rallied to be able to come back team fight after team fight to eventually win it.
It was pretty easy. Not. We knew we could out team fight him because of the, like you said, we lost to him last week, but it was kind of a fluke the way we played. We knew we could out team fight him, so we just kind of had to wait for our item spikes to hit. And once they did, we knew that we could just, like I said, out team fight him and win.
So the stalling really kind of helped you out, and you really kind of just delayed and farmed up, waiting for those items to come through. Freeko should be able to talk. Oh, yeah, that's fine. But so far, Freeko, the two questions have been, how were they feeling about the overall victory, and how did they feel when they were down 5,000 gold and trying to rally to come back in game number 2? So I'll let you get this next question.
Now, I actually want to take you back to game 1, if you can recall. What actually ended up being the trigger mechanism? Because at 30 minutes in, from our point of view, the game was literally even, and then something must have clicked, and it looked like you guys just kind of turned the go button on and completely dominated the game at that point going forward.
Golden Toad made the call.
I got this. You guys ready for this?
Let's go hit him with it.
We just waited for our LeBlanc to get her needlessly large rod, and then she subbed her needlessly large rod into Aphelios and Morgana over and over.
Uh-oh.
No, but for real though, I got the Rabadons after Golden Toad called for me to get like 3 waves, and then I just one-shot the Morg and Aphelios like 3 times, I think.
Yeah, that's when LeBlanc hits her biggest item spike, and we knew we could just pop shots and force him out, which you saw him do a lot of times. It didn't get kills, but we were able to get pressure to get more gold. Which,
yeah, I may have slightly inted maybe once or twice, putting myself a little behind, but it worked out in the end.
Well, that's something that we kind of noted even in game 1 and game 2, was that your early games are not the best of the best, especially out of all the teams that play in our events, but your mid-game team fighting is so good. So talk to us a little bit about that shot calling, the target selection, and being able to, in the chaos of a big 5v5 fight, that your team just continuously comes out ahead in that mid to late game. Talk to us about how those fights get set up, and during the middle of it, who's the voice that's really carrying you through?
I think it's mostly Undead and Golden, and then we just get really good talks in before the fights start to know who we're going to focus prior, and then we just execute after, so it's not a bunch of jumbled talking in the middle of the fight. We just call out like summoner spells and everything in between, and then before that we just know who we're going to be on before we get there.
That's actually a good question. Undead, who is it that you play? What is your in-game name? I'm actually not sure.
My in-game name is Golden God.
So you're one of the Golden God duo in the bottom lane.
yeah. The Golden Duo.
Freeko, did you have a question to follow up on that?
I think a lot of it that I saw, especially in the third game, what do you look at in your drafts? Because I saw a lot of emphasis on Set and Ornn in the top lane, but you seemed content with Xayah and Rakan for game 1 and game 3, picking all of them in the first round, in the first and third game. The second game, I think they banned Set away. So what made you flex off of that core group in that second game, specifically?
C9 World Champs is like super strong on Set and Ornn. Like, you get him on either of those 2 champions, he's gonna pop off. And Xayah Rakan is just such a massive duo in the bot lane that if you have it up, you might as well take it. And it's a super safe bot lane. It's super engaged. Like, you get a lot of things going with that. And even you saw in the level 1 power spike, just hitting W and running at Kog'Maw. He had to burn some right away, and he was still half health. So it's just a strong bot lane. We know that we can pull it off. And having C9 on somebody he's comfortable on is just such a big advantage to us because he just pops off every game.
Well, the thing that impressed me was that C9 popped off in game number 1. Alicia, you popped hard in game number 2. And then Golden God pops in game number 3. So all around, an incredibly deadly team because you can carry from multiple different points and especially get the support from Knighted Uno and Golden Toad. Every time people are going forward looking for a fight, they are there bringing that crowd control and just being a nuisance, forcing your enemy teams into those fights. So I don't want to give suggestions suggestions and advice to the teams that are playing against you, because I want you to be able to keep the competitive advantage that you guys have, and you're looking so good. But is there anything in particular, overall as a global whole, that you are seeing in the teams that you're playing against that you are noticing as a weakness? And that's where, again, I don't want specifics as this team had this player that was weak, but just overall, is it vision? Is it rotation? Is it committing to fights? You know, is there anything that globally you see as a weak point that is allowing you guys to competitively just be ahead of your peers?
I think it's mostly just. Oh, you go first. You go first.
Yeah, I'd just say, like, nobody really seemed to pull the trigger on us. A lot of games we played, the one we lost to Glacial is they kept fighting us. And a lot of it is them waiting for us to go in, as where they're just waiting for us to go in. Like, there's nothing, nobody's engaging onto us.
Yeah,
Would
I
be the
agree
only
with
thing
that.
I'd see.
I think people are way too, not scared, but just like skeptical to pull the trigger. Like they're just too timid. They don't know when to pull the trigger like at the right time, and that makes it really easy for us to just know exactly. Like that first game, we basically had a farm lane for like 20 minutes. Like the whole game was like farming, other than mid lane, because he was getting camped. But it was like we were just farming like for free for 20 minutes, and nobody was pulling any triggers. Nobody was making any like crazy calls, and I think that's a big thing that you need to have. Like, we're gonna do this play at this time, and you, regardless of what the situation is, you gotta pull the trigger on it.
Well, I like it. You guys definitely did an incredible job tonight. You're looking like the C9 of lightweight, because you just seem unstoppable and just crush opponents, and coming back from a 5,000 goal deficit in game 2 to still find victory. Well-deserved championship title for you guys in April. Freeko, any last comments or questions before we end this interview?
I think I have one. This third game, now don't give away any specifics, but if that third ban on Trundle were a ban against Set, how much would your draft have changed coming out of that first ban phase? Or would it really not change at all with what you were looking to do going into that game?
I think it would definitely affect the draft, just because C9 on Set and Ornn is just so like oppressive. He knows where he has to be at what times, and he knows like the champion very well. So it definitely would change like the perspective of where our draft goes, but it wouldn't change it so drastically where we would have to switch our entire team comp and switch our entire playstyle around.
Yeah, I think we had good secondary champions for him after those two were gone. We didn't have to use them, but I think they were there.
All right, well, we'll look for some spicy compositions from you in the future if we see those bands coming through. But enjoy your evening, enjoy your night, tasting that victory, and hopefully we'll see you guys back if the competition isn't that, you're just, it's not worth to continue fighting because you already beat everyone in week 1 of the May tournaments. So we'll see you guys in the May testing grounds week 1 if you join. Thank you so much for playing, and congratulations again on your victory.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Thanks for the
All right, and Freeko, thank you so much for coming out and casting. It has been a pleasure. You're really starting to get to know these teams well, and that's super exciting and super cool that you're getting familiar with the teams and everything. But appreciate you as always coming out and casting. It's been a blast.
Oh, absolutely. These games were razor close. The first two, we could have been interviewing a completely different team if, a couple things just kind of, make little adjustments, and maybe these teams are able to, take down the champ going forward. You kind of have that saying of you gotta beat the best to be the best. And, well, we know who's the best right now. So I definitely have to say congratulations and a well done for C9 World Champ, who I believe is the captain of the Toon Squad, showing that they are the best in the lightweight testing grounds, at least for the month of April. We'll see if they can hold on and maybe end up repeating as the champions in May. We'll have to see in what happens.
Yeah, that would be so exciting to get repeat champions. So we'll see if the repeat teams will come through as well. Something will change, but we're going to send it off for tonight. Thank you all for coming out and watching. If you are not following the XLNC Esports channel, feel free to hit that follow button. We will be going live 8 p.m. tomorrow night with the mid-invitational tournament, doing this all again, but with even better teams when it comes to solo queue ranking. So we should see some even higher caliber of play. But for tonight, that has been myself, Jake Kelton, joined by Freeko in an amazing, amazing evening of games.
Yes, it was. And on that, I say have a good night, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you around next week.
Next week or tomorrow night. Quick note as well, this entire event sponsored by Global Clan. Thank you so much for supporting both XLNC and these events. Global Clan is a multi-esports organization. They fund a ton of events and a ton of tournaments. They've spent thousands of dollars supporting tournament events just like this. They've got teams in Warcraft 3, StarCraft, all sorts of different games. They're looking to get involved in League of Legends. If you have not checked them out yet, check out their website, check out their Twitter, go give them a little bit of love simply because I'm asking. Just because I am asking. That's all it is. All it is I'm asking you to give them just a little bit of love and let them know that you are grateful for their investment tonight. It has been incredible. But for that, it is going to be us here at XLNC Esports. We'll be back tomorrow night with even more action. For now, we're going to go ahead and give some love and raid over to a longtime friend of XLNC Esports. EvoSide is fantastic. He's gotten back into streaming again, so we're going to give him some love. Head over there, drop him a follow if you jump into his channel, celebrate the raid, and we'll see you all tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the mid-April Invitational Tournament.